So these families, the coincidence, the dads all worked for the technology companies who work with artificial intelligence, AI, and algorithms. And the part with the racism that I'm having a hard time really being okay with in the current kind of social revolutionary movement taking place in the United States of America has to do with, the USA, to not offend anyone for saying the United States of America, has to do with the racism calling, the Bernie Sanders loving, brain, psychotic, truth loving humans who are limiting what can get figured out and saying they know what needs to get done already. And when you get in your way and you are not listening and you fit into a category like racism, which involves a white Caucasian person like me, and especially with this kind of clothing, then you're at risk for being hurt. There's people with Make America Great hats with red and the letters who get beat, bloodied, reporters who are just trying to figure out what's taking place, with these people in black and their face in these masks with skulls on them, and then get destroyed with vulgarity and deny the right for them to be a part of what the people are doing, having the march or having the protest. And especially not okay for those people to have free speech and say to the people who are taking charge, I don't get the argument for what you're doing. I don't get the restrictions that you're talking about and why we need so many of them. I don't understand why my body can't be free. I don't understand why I can't just have a brain talking when it wants. With the caveat, we all need to be nice to each other. We all need to solve climate change. We all need to end, poverty and violence as much as we can, if not entirely. Get rid of the amount of drugs that we have and maybe just eliminate them altogether, because are we just going to have cartels in the news and cartels being talked about forever when we've got so much to try to solve with climate change and politics in the world? Not just in our world here in this country, but elsewhere, when AI keeps advancing and they could eventually succeed in their attempts to overtake our political system, and not only that system with those processes, but our entertainment, our social lives with facial recognition, hacking, supercomputers, and quantum fast processing just not stopping. Whereas me and everyone else in the world who's human, and most animals, have to rest, sleep, get a drink, when we're thirsty, like coffee or water, clean our homes, pick our kids up from school, if you got them. I don't have them, but I pick up kids, so I pretty much say, they're like my little babies. Been with them for a while, so, whatever, but back to the point, it's filled with risk already, and to add a whole nother intensity and distraction and misdirection to their decision to focus on consciousness, racism, behavior, gestures, names, genders, and who goes to the bathroom where, aren't solving problems with freedom. They're fixing the world with more rules, requirements, laws. Places like I'm in, social housing. And how this gets further into algorithms and artificial intelligence and some of the history has to do with how this stuff got built in the private sector, because the government was, in charge of safety, security, and the well-being of the country. No matter how flawed, that's their goal, is to serve us all. And that's why they're such a treasure, But the private sector has all of these different, faces and clothings and dialects and ethnicities and cultural backgrounds and stories. And so to solve the confusion like the world has when, anarchy happens, where you have no borders, where you just have people coming over and, doing whatever they want from where they were before, then they get to a place like the United States of America where we say, you can't just be a thug who's tribal and has good friends, because where you come from, it's very social, and people like me who are mildly autistic or have had cancer are simply set aside. Whereas traditionally here in the United States, we have stuff like neurodiversity, we have stuff like equality. But down in Tijuana and down in the border towns where my mom would never let me go in Arizona, you had to be careful. When me and my girlfriend in high school drove down through California into Tijuana, her dad was in the Air Force and her mom had been, separated, but her mom said, don't you dare drive over there. And, her dad, I didn't even bring his name up because he would have prevented us probably from even going on a road trip, but we just kind of, and stuff, and it's much different, It's like going up towards Alaska, like, Into the Wild movie and the book by John Krakauer, like happy-go-lucky and a feel-good beginning and middle and stuff, but the end was bad. You can't just show up next to the bears. You can't just make a documentary, and love and hug and kiss them and not be at some risk, as the Grizzly Man movie from Werner Herzog kind of showed. And one of my favorite quotes was from the Telluride Film Festival. I did a seminar with Werner Herzog. Funny, he was there for funny guy. He was there for Bad Lieutenant, and it's relevant because it kind of goes with this borderless philosophy and how much danger is involved. And not to go too far off topic, but the danger and also the lack of need these people say we have for police. Just get rid of the police these people want. No police, no military, open borders, anarchy. Very similar to anarchy. And so I went to the seminar with Werner Herzog, and during the same visit, stayed with a man named Kit, who is named Kitsy at night. Sometimes he gave me his business card when I was there, and he did parties, he said, dressed as a woman. Had a hot tub in his house, and I had stayed there because I was poor and had to write a letter and stuff. And I had gotten into the film festival from writing a paper about a movie called Decasia, and gotten a good letter recommendation from my professor Kaveh Asghari, because he had known about the film festival when he studied at Berkeley with Linda Williams, Professor Linda Williams. And so I went there, and Werner Herzog, Ken Burns, walked by Viggo Mortensen, who was like 10 feet tall and not intimidating at all. Played in the park, you know, with my friends and stuff, you know, just being like, this is strange. And having Nicolas Cage come over right next to us with his wife at the time and his baby, and to look up and go, oh, it's a famous Nicolas Cage guy, you know. And so we got done at this beautiful festival and stuff, and I'm on the, you gotta take like a transit because Telluride's in the middle of nowhere in Colorado, and I'm gonna end this in about 30 seconds and conclude what I'm trying to explain and rambling on about, but it's a fun story because it's relevant for this chaoticness with the borders, and it has to do with Werner Herzog on the way home on the transportation. We stopped because, you know, the younger people with me, the school kids, were like, we need some food, you know, they wanted some munchies. And so the transit was okay, you know, I don't know who they were, I don't remember who the transportation driver. They were nice enough to stop though. So we stopped, and Werner Herzog was on the transportation with us with, I think, his girlfriend or his wife, and he's German. I think I hope he doesn't ever see this, and he's not German. I hope he's a sweet man either way, but I think he's German. And so they get off, and you know, we're trying to make it to the airport to catch our flights and stuff. Probably all poor except him. So the you know, students get off, and we're sitting in there for a few seconds or minutes. I don't know. It was tense, and I hear Werner say, "Leave them. It's live. It's live. Teaching them a lesson." And not even like flinching. You know, leave them. It is live. Teaching them a lesson. I mean, almost like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, please, let me go get them. Werner's gonna pay the driver to leave him or something, and then we're all gonna feel bad, you know. So I'll leave the end of this part of the history of artificial intelligence and AI and algorithms, and hopefully conclude it with this next video. Conclude the kind of talk about these parts of technology.